Howdy ho neighborinos. This one is going to be a little idea that I would like to see expanded more in terms of just like, you know, people using this technique in general, because I think it is kind of underexplored and I think there are a lot of practical applications of this. What I'm talking about here is solving lefty slots with quote-unquote righty turning, and when I say that, I don't mean the thing where it's like, oh, instead of doing L prime U2L, you can just do fat R prime F2 fat. Like that's not what I'm getting at. And I mean, if that works for you, great, but like, shut up. I don't care. Alright, so the first one I'm going to show is how you do it with like RUF style turning, and this is particularly useful for the front left slot. The back left slot, not so much. But in general, it's kind of rare that you'll solve a... Well, it's not that rare that you'll solve a pair in the back left, but it is pretty rare that I think you'll do it with righty turning, and I'll explain why in a sec. But the way you can solve the front left slot with RUF turning, there's two ways, and it depends on the EO. So if your edge is oriented to be inserted like that, then you have to move it over here like so, and then do an F move, and then try and solve this pair 2-gen into like this slot here. So the way this would look for this kind of case would be like F, U, like that, and then F prime. I don't know if that's necessarily a good trick. I don't know if it's better than that. I'll set it up again. So like this, like a normal solution with lefty would be like that, which I think is pretty good. But there are some useful applications of this kind of trick. One of my favorites is for this F2L case. So again, you have this oriented edge over here, you do F, pair these up like that, and then just insert like that. That's a pretty nice way of doing it. I think I have another example. Okay, so this is when the edge isn't oriented. So when this matches here, doing the F isn't really going to work. So you need to have this somewhere else. So it could be either here, here, or here, and then you do the F move. And again, it depends on the kind of case you have. So for something like this, I'd probably want it over here, do an F, pair them up like that, and then insert like that. So the nice thing about that kind of case is it doesn't really matter what kind of F2L case you have. You can even have the edge solved or flipped there, I think. We'll just try and set one up now, just for fun. So if you have it flipped and you do an F, I don't think that works, actually. Yeah, I don't think... The only case where it doesn't work, I think, is where the edge is flipped. Yeah, that's not really going to work. But if the edge isn't flipped, so say something like this, you can do an F, and then you basically have the kind of case I showed before. So like something like this. So where the edge matches on front, you know, one move away from being in that position from before, doing an F. Doing an F here doesn't work, but doing it here would, and then you could just insert the pair like that. Just did a fancy EO trick there for fun. And then if it is solved, then you can do a lefty slot like that with RUF turning. However, when this edge is solved, RUF turning may not be the best thing depending on EO, and I will explain why in a sec. So here you could do something like that and get some edges pretty nicely. I'll show that one at the end, that's kind of a weird one. However, when you have this edge solved, and this is a trick that works better for the back left slot, this is using commutators basically. If you've watched my video on how Felix does zeroing, you'll probably already know what I'm about to show you. But you can basically solve this corner here using a commutator. So this one, instead of doing like lefty to 3 pair, you can do something like that. And then this works for the back left slot as well. So this corner's empty. Instead of doing that sort of thing, you just put the corner there. So that'd be RD prime, R prime, U, undo, and then that fills the slot. So those are just some ideas to do with basically just solving lefty pairs with righty style solutions. And it'd be nice to see these explored more and like posted on AlgDB. Although I don't know if AlgDB is going to be putting any more like useful subsets anytime soon, because I don't know, they're just being kind of annoying about it. I've been saying for ages, I want AlgDB to have more than just the standard 42 F2L cases, because there's a lot that has, you know, good algorithms, but because, you know, we're trying to centralize everything, but they're not being helpful. Like, we can't put all the stuff in one place. AlgDB, plus. Anyways, enough about me being angry at AlgDB. So here's the last example, and this is based on kind of a weird F2L trick. So for this F2L pair here, L prime U prime L is usually the way to go. However, if you set up here and depending on like what you've got, so say if I'm like inserting this pair and then these two, I may want to cancel into that trick. So it's a 7 mover. but it's pretty fast. Obviously L prime U prime L is faster, but for something like this, so where you're solving this pair and it needs to go here, I actually got this from a reconstruction of one of Felix's solves, and I've been trying to implement it a little more. Instead of doing righty, little regrip, lefty, you could just do that. Did I set it up right? Yeah. So you could solve this case over here using this free slot, obviously. If this is filled, then you're just mucking up your F2L. And also because it solves a slightly different EO, there's other stuff to be explored there. But yeah, that's basically like the whole idea for the video. There's a bunch of ways you can solve lefty slots using RUF and RUD turning. RUF is very, very flexible for the front left slot. RUD turning, it only really works when the edge is solved. I don't think it really works particularly well when the... I'll just set this up again. I don't think it works very well when like the cross color is on top. So like here I wouldn't really want to do like a D and then that. That just kind of feels silly to me. Here, this is probably be where like the RFU turning, like I said, it can work for these types of cases. And here is probably an example where I think it would work a little better. Alright, hope that gives you guys some ideas. Find some dank algs. Stay tuned for more. Thanks for watching.